Welcome to the offseason here in the Coaching Carousel Dynasty. In Season 1, we had an extremely impressive year, going 13-1, 9-0 in MAC conference play, turning into one of the most highly touted offensive coordinators in the country. We have had 6 upgrades total, and I am excited to get into this coaching carousel for the first time. But our head coach is probably the hottest coach right now. After really starting out his career kind of rocky, and he just turns it around with a 1-loss season, he will definitely be looking to go to a bigger school. His alma mater is Michigan, so we will see where he goes. My guess is that he ends up somewhere in the Big Ten. So looking at the head coaching jobs available, Miami, Oregon, Washington, Virginia Tech right away, even Arizona State. But then we get to Cal, and look who is the top candidates, who are the top candidates. A bunch of guys, but our head coach and our defensive coordinator, and our head coach will be the next head coach at Cal. Scott Loeffler moves over to a Power 5 school on a 5-year contract. I knew he was going to probably go over to a, Power 5 school. Ends up going to Cal. But that's not it. Our defensive coordinator was also one of the most highly touted guys. He will go to Illinois to be their head coach. Very, very big moves, as Bowling Green has now lost their head coach and their defensive coordinator. That leaves our head coaching position open, and we weren't even considered. I kind of take this as a sign of disrespect. Both coaches leave and we're not even considered. They go with Butch Jones from Arkansas State. I honestly cannot believe it. They didn't even consider us. We weren't even in the top 6. So now that definitely drives me to see where we're going to go next. We start to get offered some head coaching jobs. UAB offers us. We go through the list. Vanderbilt is there. That would have been an interesting offer, but I probably wouldn't have went there. We want to be realistic and go to a school that makes sense. Definitely not taking Charlotte. We already did them in a dynasty. FAU offers a head coach as well. We pass on them. But to be realistic, we are going to go to be an offensive coordinator at another school, not a head coach. I'm not looking to do that. Rice was actually interesting. They were 1-11. That would have been a pretty good offer to take. But then I look at the other offensive coordinator jobs that are available. Alabama's was actually available. That was interesting. Arizona State is going to be really the first school to offer us a legit offensive coordinator position. And they are interesting, a 10-4 team, but they are a Power 5 school. I just want to be realistic. We started in the MAC, and I want to go up another conference, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a Power 5. It can be still one of the group of 5 conferences, just maybe a higher tier of those conferences, because MAC is definitely at the bottom. Or we could go to a Power 5 school that is maybe at the bottom of that conference. So we actually get offered the Houston job. And this is an interesting job for a few reasons. Because Houston has a fun offense. I mean, you can just air the ball out all over the field. They don't have the best running backs historically, but I mean, just look at, the quarterbacks that they've had in the past. I mean, all of them have just aired it out. So I am excited to move on. And we will be taking the University of Houston offensive coordinator job. This is going to be pretty fun. They have a lot higher overall guys than we had at Bowling Green. So this is going to be pretty challenging also, because we're going to be going up against some tougher teams too. I think the MAC teams were just not good in Season 1. Also, I will be giving a boost to the sliders to help CPU teams. But just looking at who they have, Coley is returning at quarterback. They had 2 senior quarterbacks who are moving on, including Clayton Tune. But at receiver, some more seniors. Nathaniel Dell is a junior, so he will be a senior when we take over. Matthew Golden will be a sophomore. Cody Jackson will also be a sophomore. So they do have some good pieces that are returning. I think the question mark is defense, though. They have a couple of sophomore pass rushers, but a lot of senior starters, a lot of them. So we will see if our defense this year is going to be as good as Bowling Green's was last year. The funny part about this is that we actually take the job of Dawson, who moved on, and he actually moves on to Arizona State. So we were offered the Arizona State offensive coordinator job. We turned that down. The Houston offensive coordinator takes it, and then we take his job. So that's actually pretty funny how, it all comes back around. So we have a brand new recruiting board now, but look who's here. It's Deontay Minor, who we were just recruiting for Bowling Green. So could he follow Coach Timo Cruz over to Houston? We were recruiting him heavily for Bowling Green. You see, we were behind 1,100 points at Bowling Green. Now we're in the lead by 1,000. So we are in the driver's seat there. Looking at some other guys that were at the top of this board, Jeremiah Jackson, a very good free safety. Looks like he could be an impact player early on in his career. Pharaoh Schism, what a name that is. 84 speed, 90 acceleration. Good. Looks like he's got a good potential on him. Another quarterback here, Ziad DePaulo. He is okay. I like Minor the best out of all these quarterbacks, though. Brett Bottoms is just okay. And as we scroll down and look at the commits that are already coming, a very good tight end is coming in, Elijah Wiley. We unlock all his ratings. He ends up being 72 overall. Definitely a candidate to be, a future starter. I don't know about right away. Philip Schmal, as I say, Schmal. He ends up being a pretty good tackle, but nobody else is going to be over 70 overall. I try to unlock some of these guys, and they're just going to be just decent. So they're going to be guys that we have to develop in the system. And obviously, we're at Houston, and Houston in real life is going to be switching over to the Big 12. So we will follow that in this series as well. I'm trying to unlock some offensive guys to see, who's going to come out as, possible gems, but nobody ends up coming out that well. So we end up putting all the points on Deontay Minor and Jeremiah Jackson. They just seem like the best two fits on the board. And we advance on to signing day to see if they will sign. And our first, I guess, not really recruiting class because we're just offensive coordinators. We end up, missing out on Pharaoh Schism. He goes to Louisiana Monroe. We do end up getting Jamar Dostin. It's weird to see Dostin. It's usually Dotson. Roland Hobson goes to SJSU. We end up getting a guard here in Evan Myers. I don't know if he's going to be 69 overall coming in. Brandon Wilson, a defensive tackle. So we are actually, recruiting for depth here. But then we scroll down a little bit and we see Jeremiah Jackson will be committing. So we have our future at safety and Deontay Minor, the 4-star quarterback out of Safety Harbor, Florida, the number 3 ranked quarterback in the country. This may have been a weak quarterback class. He ends up committing to Houston. Can't wait to see what he develops into, but he will be a guy that we will follow pretty closely. Now, Lucas Coley is going to be the starter, though. I mean, there is no doubt about it. He comes in at 80 overall. He can run the football. His accuracy is good. 84 throw power, 80 accuracy. Can't get much better than that for a sophomore, to be honest with you. Our running back group is way better than what we had at Bowling Green. I'm excited for that. And then our receiving core, we have 190-plus overall receiver in Nathaniel Dell. And looking at him, he is 95 overall, 94 catching. He's going to line up everywhere on the field. I'm excited about this receiving core. I mean, we did not have this good of a receiving core. Obviously, we were playing Javonte Kinsey, who actually does not follow us over to Houston. So he stays at Bowling Green. I know a lot of you guys were hoping that he would, but he ends up staying at Bowling Green. So I said I will follow what the future holds for the NCAA realignment. So this is what the Big 12 will look like. I did group it into East and West just by geographic. I tried my best. So Houston will be in the East with Cincinnati, Iowa State, UCF, West Virginia, and Kansas. And then on the other side, BYU joins the Big 12, and they will be in the West with the other Big 12 teams. So our schedule going into the second season of this offensive coordinator dynasty so far, it's a Coach Carousel. We will eventually get a head coaching job. Bowling Green is going to be the opener, so we will play our former team right away, and then we will play the former offensive coordinator at Houston in the second game when we play at Arizona State. That's going to be an interesting game, maybe a little revenge game for the university. We will also play number 4 Utah and Oregon, and then BYU back to back. So we play 4 ranked teams in a row to open the season besides Bowling Green. And then we play West Virginia, Kansas, Iowa State, UCF, and Cincinnati to end the year. So this is going to be a much tougher year than we had last year. I think last year we faced one ranked team, and that was Baylor early on. We ended up beating them, and they ended up being terrible. So I don't think that was much of an upset. But here is our top players going into this year. Obviously, Nathaniel Dell, 95 overall. He's going to be our best guy. We do end up having 2 players over 90 overall. So Paul, our left tackle, is going to be 91 as well. I do like our quarterback group, though. We do have 2 good ones in Lucas Colley, and then obviously Deontay Minor is a guy that's going to develop behind him. It's actually Lucas Coley. I don't know why I say Colley. Lucas Coley, and he is pretty mobile. He can throw the ball well. I really like what I got out of him. Minor will back him up, and at least, you know, if we see that Coley gets hurt, we have a good option here behind him. And if we do have blowouts, you will see some Deontay Minor this year. So be on the lookout for that. Our third string quarterback is not good at all. He was just a walk-on. So if both of our quarterbacks go down, we could be in trouble. Our running back group, Brandon Campbell, the starting tailback, but he will split time with McCaskill, who is behind him. And McCaskill is the fastest running back on the squad, but Campbell is the quickest. He has 98 acceleration, so both of those guys will get a lot of playing time next to one another. Those 2 will be the 1-2 combo of this running back group. At receiver, I think, you know, a guy to look out for is going to be the slot, either Matthew Golden or Joseph Manjack. Either one of those 2, because Kinsey was used quite a bit, but we will be switching playbooks over to the current head coach's playbook. I'll have to see what that is. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but we will be switching our playbook over to the current head coach at Houston's. And then looking at our tight end group, Logan Compton is 79 overall, and then the freshman Elijah Wiley is 72, so he is kind of buried on the depth chart right now. Our offensive line is actually really good, so I'm not sure if we will have much pressure on the quarterback Coley. I mean, he's going to have a lot of time back there, but I do like our offense quite a bit. Now, I want to show you guys the before and after of these sliders. Now, I did update these. These were the base slider set that you would get with College Football Revamped. They are highly recommended in the Discord, but I'm going to boost the CPU quite a bit on offense to make sure that they're good. Obviously, I'm not going to overpower them, but I want to make sure that they are, you know, very good. And I'm also going to boost their defense as well. So I am actually going off of J-Rod's sliders on Operation Sports for these, trying to get it as close as possible. So that's why you see some 100s here, and I will see what happens this year. Increased competition, so you got to increase the sliders. I do play on Heisman, so no funny business there. So we start out season 2 ranked preseason number 28. So we will see what happens right away. I think if we win the first 2 games, we're going to be ranked right away. So I don't know if Bowling Green, that victory will put us over the top, but it could. You never know. But we will face our former team right away to start season 2. So you don't want to miss that one. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Let me know what you guys think of the change going over to Houston in season 2. And then I'm hoping to stay here 2 years and then see what happens from there. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.